Hello and welcome to another edition of The Week. This is the show where we take a look back at the big talking points from across our region over the past 7 days with a helping hand from our special studio guests. Coming up over the next hour, we'll be reflecting on headlines in the local papers and discussing the big stories that have been brought to you by our Big Centre TV news team over the last 7 days. And remember, as we always say, this is your show, so if there's an issue you think we should be tackling or a point you want to make, drop us a line through the Big Centre TV website, on Facebook, or by email to theweek@bigcentre.tv. Helping me to cast an eye over the headlines this week, I'm delighted to welcome back radio, TV broadcaster and producer Dan Morfitt and Laura Jones, who is a local ambassador for something called Droplet Birmingham. So, Laura, we've got to start with you.
Okay.
What's Droplet Birmingham?
It's effectively a mobile app for independents. So we've got 450 merchants across the country and a user base of over 25,000 people. And it's a clever app which allows you to pay for things in independent stores. So for instance, one of our main merchants is a place called Urban Coffee on Church Street in Birmingham, and you can go in with your app, which you can download from the App Store, and you just go to the till, place your order, and then you can check in on the app and you come up on the merchant screen and you pay straight away. And it's not just a payment app, but it's more of a kind of loyalty scheme in that all of our merchants that we have on board, we allow them to reward their customers. So the best way to describe it is, you know the little cards that you get when you go into Caffè Nero's and you might get 5 stamps and a free coffee? Well, it's like that, but it's all on your phone, so it's incredibly easy to use.
Well, we've got a little video to show actually
Awesome.
that explains a little bit more about how Droplet works. Let's have a look.
Who'd have thought we'd end up with such power in our pockets? Smartphones have entered our lives in ways we never expected, and smart people are using their phones to do more of the things they love and make life run that little bit more smoothly. Droplet is a mobile payments app that does just that. It's easy to get started. Just add a payment card and you're ready to go. The first time you spend in a place, you'll need to tap Pay Here so your favourite merchants can charge you. After that, you'll simply get a push notification of how much you've spent. No more fumbling, scanning, swiping or tapping. Just pay and enjoy. You can also collect loyalty stamps as you go. No need to carry around lots of different cards. You can see where your next reward is coming from, right there on your phone. We started Droplet because we believed we could use the power of the web to transform the world of payments. It's secure, simple, and unlike every other payment system in the world, Droplet is completely transaction fee-free for everyone. Our friendly ambassadors are helping take Droplet out across the country. Download the app now to see what they're so excited about. And if you're a business, just visit our website to join up. Droplet, powering a quiet revolution at the corner of your street.
Dan's away.
I've already downloaded it.
Yeah. It's working nicely.
I'm away, yeah. I've just got to put in my details and then I can go on everything.
So you're telling the truth? It does work?
Definitely, and there's some quite clever features with it as well, in that once you're signed up, you can generate your own code. So if you refer a friend, you can have £5 to spend at some of your favourite merchants, as can they as well. So it really is an app that rewards our users as well as our merchants.
And did this all start in Birmingham? Is that right?
Yes, we like to refer to Birmingham as kind of like Droplet's spiritual home. So the guys who came up with it, Stefan and Will, they actually came up with the idea in Urban Coffee, our first ever merchant and one of our most well-performing ones. And they just kind of saw a gap in the market in terms of getting on board with an app which allowed in not just fee-free payments, but really did give something back to a city like Birmingham, which really is very vibrant and up for trying something new.
And it's good because it's actually it's targeting the independents and it's giving everybody local town centres, they all want a unique selling point, don't they? They want to create something that's different, and the blend of independent traders is the big thing that they can do, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing, and it's not just an app that we just sell to a merchant, as it were, and leave them to it. We're constantly helping them to grow, so going in and giving them helpful ideas on how they could market it further, and we provide them with training on the app. And there's more to it than just that, in that each individual merchant also gets access to data on their customers' spending habits, so they can then reward them for the things that they like to buy.
Are you into your contactless payments?
Love the
apps
contactless
and
stuff.
gadgets and
It just makes things easier. The taxes that you can just pay by just pressing an app. It's fantastic. You without cash. I'm yet to get the new Swift card, but I'm looking forward to getting that. You can see a cashless future very, very soon.
There's a certain section of society that remain nervous about it, though, aren't there? There's people who think, how secure is all this? Where's all my data going? And that's a difficult one to get over, isn't it? Because
I can totally appreciate that. I mean, I was, to begin with, when Uber came out, I was like, what, you're taking my card details and a taxi's going to turn up? But then I became a self-confessed addict. And I think it's one of those things that, we are moving into a time when things are going contactless. I mean, there was something recently that came out which is there's a 35% rise in the amount of apps like this where people are just using payment via their mobile. So it really is something that is going to become more prominent as the years go on.
Absolutely. Excellent. We'll talk a bit more about it later. I know you're sticking with us to talk about some of the other news headlines. And really, there's only really been one story dominating the headlines this week, and that's sadly been the terror attacks in Paris. And here in the West Midlands, communities have been showing their solidarity. Thousands paused for a minute's silence at 11 o'clock on Monday. Lois Swinnerton was in Sandwell.
As the clock struck 11, Europe fell silent, gathering together for those affected by the attack in Paris on Friday night. Heads bowed in Sandwell, they paid their respects.
It's so heartwarming to see how many people have been out today in support of all our French friends and families that have been affected, and we send them our deepest condolences, and we hope that they feel that we are in support of them and thinking of them.
And for those at the council, these feelings are only too familiar. Earlier this year, they came together to remember their colleague, Adrian Evans, who was killed in the Tunisian beach attacks.
It's a despicable act of terrorism again that we're seeing. Second time here in Sandwell, it's impacted on us. Directly. We had the Tunisia murders earlier in the year, and now obviously our twinning with Blancmesnil in France. So it was fantastic to see so many people out in support, showing solidarity with our brothers and sisters in France.
Here at Sandwell Council, the French flag flies at half-mast, and when everyone came out at 11 o'clock for the 1 minute silence, you could really feel a sense of solidarity.
To come together in that way, it's a way, isn't it, of people expressing that grief, but in the way of a solidarity. It is difficult because it's emotional. I feel quite emotional about it, but we won't be defeated. People attending a music event, sitting in restaurants, blatantly and cold-bloodedly murdered. It's an outrage, but we need to stick together. We need to ensure that we let these people know that they will never defeat us with these horrendous methods that they use.
While airstrikes continue from Russia, the US, France and the UK, here the threat of ISIS is on everyone's mind.
It is reassuring to see that the government are taking extra steps to combat that, but I think we ought to send out the message that we will not be defeated and we are all together on this.
Despite many countries remaining on high alert, Parisians stand strong, resolute and defiant, and the world stands with them. Lois Swinnerton for The Midland in Sandwell.
I don't know about you guys, but I saw a news alert about this on Friday evening, and then you're being bombarded with information, such as the 24-hour nature of our news. You know, people are tweeting live, you're seeing video streamed, and you're struggling to try and actually put it all together as to what it means, aren't you?
People were tweeting from the Bataclan concert hall, and that comes out, and it all comes into this big social media lump that you've got to pick your way through. Thankfully, a lot of the news channels then decided to filter that through. So without that, a lot of that was happening on Friday and has been happened since, was just rumour.
Where do you tend to get your news from? Do you?
Well, I mean, we're in a day and age now where a lot of it tends to come from the internet firsthand. I mean, we get the paper through the door, but by the time it's come, the story's already been online. I mean, one thing I will say about social media is when I woke up on Saturday morning, I logged into my Facebook account and I was getting notifications saying that friends of mine who were in France were marked as safe, which is a really lovely tool for people who might be perhaps worried about people who are out there I haven't spoken to for a while. But it is really as and when it happens, how we're getting our media nowadays.
And of course you've got youngsters who are seeing all of this, you know, on their own devices, and it means that they ask all sorts of questions of their parents, you know, and it takes quite a lot of explaining, doesn't it? In fact, this package here, several schools across the Birmingham and Black Country area have been holding special assemblies this week, not just to show their respects to the French victims, but also to give the staff an opportunity to maybe, as you suggested, filter what's happened and try and explain the terror attacks and put them into some sort of context. Well, Norman Bartlam dropped into one of them at Ladywood.
And at the weekend, lots of you would have seen and would have heard adults talking about things that could make you feel scared.
As head teacher of the oratory, it was important to give our children this morning the opportunity to explore and also talk about their different feelings, because during the weekend they were witness to the horrors and atrocities that they would have seen on the news and radio in light of what happened in Paris. Our children talked about how scared they were, how frightened they were, but they also talked about how it was important through prayer that they could help others.
Together. Pray for Paris. So we've just had a minute's silence.
In class, our children will have the opportunity to continue to express their thoughts and feelings about what happened at the weekend.
I'm happy and I'm sad. I'm happy because all the people that have died went to a better place, and I'm sad because loads of people died and I'm worried that it will happen here.
I feel like I should lock myself in my room until everything's calmed down.
The people who tried to destroy France can actually go to us, and that's why I'm even more terrified.
I feel sorry for France because some people, about 129 people got killed, and but I also feel happy for the people who survived in the terrorist attack.
I feel sorry for the families who have died and the people who have been killed, and I hope they're in a better place and they're happy, and I hope one day these terrorists will be gone and the people will be happy and safe, and the world will be a better place.
Sometimes an issue like this just creates more questions than answers, doesn't it? And you can see from there just how inquisitive youngsters are, and it's difficult, isn't it? Difficult to tackle.
Out of the mouth of babes with some of them. This is a bit where teachers come to the fore, and parents as well. But again, where do the parents and the teachers get their information from?
Absolutely. Well, of course, local media's been full of its own interpretation of the story this week. This one in the Express and Star that just caught my eye. Teacher from Staffordshire found herself caught up in the terror attacks, hiding in a basement for several hours. Abigail Godridge is from Weston. She was dining in the Place de la République when the attackers burst into the venues and started spraying bullets. You can only imagine, can't you, just what goes through people's minds. We heard similar experiences from people that were on the beach in Tunisia or not that long ago, and not great for people who are already maybe nervous about travelling to unknown and unexplored venues and places. You could holiday abroad much? Did it make you think twice?
Well, I'm not a frequent traveller because I'm usually skint. But the weekend before, I was in Amsterdam with my friends, and we could quite easily have been in Paris or any European city. And I think the problem is you're going to get stuff of this nature as time goes on, and if you lock yourself in, away, you're not going to solve anything. All you're doing is letting them win. So as far as I'm concerned, although I think you should be cautious to a certain extent, it wouldn't put me off.
Do you think it was right that the England-France football game went ahead this week,
Completely,
based on that?
Completely right that it had to go ahead, and it was a fantastic show of unity at Wembley. Loads of people sang La Marseillaise, and that's the first time you're going to see an Englishman sing the French national anthem. It had to be played. It was such a shame that other games on the continent, I think the Belgian game and the Germany game, both had to be called off because of security attacks. You have to continue.
Well, we'll have more news and reviews for you after the break, including some uplifting stories from the headlines this week. Welcome back to The Week, where I'm reviewing the local news headlines with a helping hand from Dan Morfitt and Laura Jones. Now, more than 70,000 people flocked to the NEC in Birmingham over the weekend to visit the classic car show, and there really was something for everyone, whether you're after a Ferrari, an MG or a Morris Minor. Lois Swinnerton was there.
It's actually become a really big and popular show. We've got owners, club stands, manufacturers, companies advertising their wares. We've been doing loads of stuff on the live stage, so I've just done a bit about Sporting Bears, which is a fantastic charity. This is a group of guys, over 50 cars. They donate their own car, their fuel, their insurance, and for as little as £10, members of the public today can go and visit them, pay the fee and go for a 10-mile drive around Birmingham. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for people to get in a car that would never have access to. They've got Ferraris, Astons, E-Types. It's all for a fantastic charity.
So yeah, fantastic opportunities there for people, and I can see to the left of us as well. People have been bringing their own cars in this year, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the great thing about this show, is it attracts people that are enthusiastic and owners. And people have brought their own cars today. Nothing better than polishing your car, preparing it for display, standing with your vehicle, talking to other enthusiasts, and I can see it in the owners' faces when they're engaging with people that are genuinely as passionate as they are about their pride and joy.
And what sort of cars are on display? What can people see here?
Well, this is what's amazing, is that you can have any type of car from, Ross Brawn's about to bring on his £15 million 250 short wheelbase Ferrari, and yet over there's an MG midget probably worth about £3,000. And across the halls there's cars for a few hundred quid or cars for a few million. This show is classless. It attracts everybody.
And have you got any favourites on display?
I shouldn't have favourites, but my favourite car is an Austin 7, and I did see a very beautiful blue Austin 7 over there, which is just really charming. It's got loads of character, and I think my heart's pulled to that car.
And such a big national show. How great is that for Birmingham to have it on its doorstep?
It's amazing that Birmingham is able to cater for a show this big. The fact the NEC is perfectly suited, it's accessible, great parking, great facilities, great location, and they've jam-packed halls with loads of classic cars. It's just turned out really well.
And 32nd year next year, is it going to be bigger and better?
Well, for the 32nd year next year, if it gets bigger and better, I mean, it'll be a phenomenal show. The fact that they've jam-packed the halls this year, there are people everywhere, cars everywhere, enthusiasts everywhere. I love walking around and bumping into guys. In fact, I think that's Ed China now is on the stage. And this is the great thing, is that you can come and meet the guys from Wheeler Dealers, Buzz from RSOS, myself from For the Love of Cars, and we love to mingle, talk to enthusiasts. And what a great opportunity. Come down, meet owners, meet the guys that are on your telly. It's just really great.
Dan, you're salivating over in the corner now at the sight of these cars.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't go. I love people like Ants, For the Love of Cars. It's a fantastic programme. Ed China as well from Wheeler Dealers. Those cars as well. There was a gorgeous VW Caddy, absolute loader. The Astons. Oh, the Astons.
You're obviously partial to nice shiny tractors as well, though, are you? So.
Yes. Ford, Massey Ferguson, John Deere, David Brown. I know my tractors.
What sort of car woman are you? Like something that...
Well, considering I don't have a driving licence, not that into cars, but I do like a man who drives a BMW.
See, they've got a reputation for being a little bit fast and loose when it comes to obeying the laws of the road, aren't they, BMW drivers?
They'll never stop for you because they can't use their indicators.
Absolutely.
Good to know, I'll bear that in mind.
Now, we talked about Aston Martin. Of course, there's a story in the Birmingham Post this week saying that they are considering opening a new factory, building a new manufacturing plant in Sutton Coldfield, which, coming hot on the heels of the Jaguar Land Rover investment we've had in the region, it's starting to all come together a bit, isn't it?
It makes sense. You've got the workforce there at Castle Bromwich, and if they need to go to lunch, Asda's there as well at Minworth. So it really needs to go there. I think it's between there and Alabama and another place, but we've got the expertise in the region. We're now this new Midlands engine, as the government likes to call us. So let's just use it. It's another great investment in the people and the skills of the fantastic workforce we've got here.
Because we were talking in the break about the Aston Martin in the new James Bond film Spectre, weren't we? And of course I didn't realise until you came to the studio tonight, I'm sitting next to a fellow film critic. So you've seen the new Bond film, have you? Yes?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my favourite, but I thought they did a good job with it.
Favourite film of this year then, that you've seen? What do you fancy?
Ooh, I was incredibly moved by Suffragette, and I was lucky to be one of the first people to see it at the London Film Festival. But I got so excited about Jurassic Park because I was 5 when the original came out, and it's a film that we really liked as a family. And they did it really well with the kind of like retro bits that they had in it. And when the music starts playing, the original score when they go in the park, I found tears in my eyes. I'm like, nothing bad's happened yet. But yeah, that was a massive highlight for
That's
me.
the magic of cinema, isn't it?
I know.
Now you get a chance to, you've been working at the London Film Festival.
Yeah.
What were you doing down there?
Well, I was reporting for my own online blog, which was quite exciting really, because I got to go to several press conferences and red carpets. One of my favourites was The Lady in the Van, so I got to speak to Maggie Smith and Alan Bennett, who's one of my writing heroes, and it was just really interesting to see what people were thinking about film at the moment.
Dish the dirt then, the stars that you meet on the red carpet, who's nice, who's not?
I loved interviewing Reese Witherspoon last year. She was very nice. It was tipping it down with rain and she still made time to speak to me. I also got a massive crush on James McAvoy when I interviewed him.
He's very tiny, isn't he?
Yeah, but he just knows how to talk. He just gives the right answer. He's so smooth. But to be fair, most people are nice on the red carpet because they have to be, because one loose word and there's a quote there. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a good experience though, isn't it?
Definitely.
So watching how they work the cameras and how they operate.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now let's change the subject. Shouldn't our young people be spending more time playing outdoors rather than being sat in front of a computer screen? How many times have you heard people say that over the last few years? Well, 3 schools have done just that after winning a competition to visit a local eco park.
With a shortage of green spaces in cities like Birmingham, the Wildlife Trust are hoping to encourage more children to get out into nature.
We know it's more and more difficult for children to experience the outdoors. For all sorts of reasons, children don't play outside on their own so much as they did 2 or 3 generations ago. There is, although there are plenty of parks and open spaces around, there is obviously still not the wide open spaces that you get in other parts of the country. All the evidence shows and all the research shows that people, and children in particular, are happier and healthier, they're less stressed if they do have access to the outdoors and to activities in the outdoors. And so what we're about is helping to provide places and activities, particularly here for children, where we have more than 10,000 a year coming through the gates and taking part in both formal and informal education and holiday play sessions and things like that.
The Trust ran a competition for schools to get in touch with their wild sides and get students engaged with the outdoors.
So we've had one school that took part in the Wildlife Trust's national campaign called 30 Days Wild. So they spent every day in June getting outside and getting wild with nature. They did things like bug hunts. We've heard that they've been planting wildflower meadows, they've been planting fruit trees, they've been doing all sorts of things, getting their families outside in the garden, going and visiting green spaces, which is absolutely wonderful. We had one girl who wrote a blog and told us that actually she was not a nature girl. She liked being indoors, she liked playing on her screens. She was made to get outside because of 30 Days Wild, and she's actually really enjoyed it and was really sad when it ended, and is going to carry on getting outside and being part of the natural environment, which is exactly why we do these things.
Wildlife Trust Vice President Nick Baker believes nature can provide an important education for children.
You get to learn about your own boundaries, you get to reflect on things, you get to be inspired, you get a bit of peace and quiet. You're in an unstructured playground, effectively, where you can you can be who you want and you can do what you want. But it's also somewhere to go where the rules are fundamental rules about just being a human being. You haven't got parents or teachers telling you what to do. So being out in nature is really, really important. And what's really important about this People Postcode Lottery funded project is that it's reaching kids that wouldn't normally get the opportunity to find a place like this. So we are hopefully getting through to these kids, getting them out into nature and starting them on their own little personal journey. And then the great thing about this, and this project has touched hundreds, if not thousands of people, because apparently it's been more successful than anyone imagined, because these kids have gone away and then they've shared their stories with their colleagues or their peers, and their peers have then put together an argument to come here as well. So that's exactly how it works. These kids will be going home, telling their parents what a great time they had. It may be inspiring some of the parents to go, well, actually, maybe we should do this together as a family, and so on and so forth. And that's the great thing. This is how you plant a seed. And of course that seed grows into the lives of all these kids, and these kids really are the future as well. I mean, that's the biggest cliche in the world, but it's real, it's true, and all these kids are going to have a much better life for the lessons they learn in a green space like this.
Lindsay Smith for The Midland in Eco Park, Birmingham.
I don't know about you guys, but some of my happiest childhood memories are when I've just been playing outdoors, whether it's wandering around the park or playing football or grazing my knee, and youngsters don't seem to just accept that that's an option for them too often anymore. Or it's seen as a special treat, isn't it?
The thing is, though, central heating's so nice, and when you've got an Xbox in front of you, the world is there. So, but no, I was a Boy Scout, Cub Scout, and then a Scout, so I remember all of that still. And digging a hole enough away from the tent just so the smell didn't carry. I loved all of that.
Practical skills that you see, they hold you good, don't they, right the way through your life?
Yeah, because you never know when you need to make a latrine.
There might be a time when the I'm a Celebrity guys come calling. These are going to be useful skills that you've learned, aren't they? Do you remember playing outdoors until goodness knows what time, till your parents called you in?
I think it's very important that kids go outside. I mean, I'll be honest, despite being a brownie guide, I was a proper scaredy cat when I was little, so I'd usually be found behind a book. But my little brother was constantly out in the mud with his friends, without meaning to bring up Jurassic Park again, pretending to shoot fantasy dinosaurs, and it did him a world of good. I mean, he's in the army now, and I sometimes think if he was one of these kids who is inside just on the computer and the iPad, would he have made that career choice? So I think getting kids outdoors, mucking about, doing things like the Scouts and the Cubs, it's really important.
Right then, well, we'll take a break and go into the Big Centre TV news headlines very briefly. Welcome back to the week. Now then, I'm just looking at some more stories in the local papers. I see the Birmingham Mail are saying stand by for sleet and snow this weekend. Isn't it cheerful?
Bring it on. Bring it on. I want to make a snowman.
It looks like, I don't know whether you'll get the choice because it might be the wrong kind of snow. They don't tell us that. We're not able to predict that. Well, first this week we had the storms. Now the temperature's dropping fast, and clearly we're going to be getting sleet and snow. And it's that time of year when those who don't have a roof over their heads or enough money maybe to pay for a healthy hot meal need our support. And that's exactly what a new soup kitchen in Walsall is doing. Tom Wilkinson reports.
In these difficult times of recession, the poor are often hit the hardest. However, here in Walsall there is a can with a soup kitchen to feed the homeless and financially struggling of the town.
So far we've literally just opened, so you're here with us at the very beginning. I'm very pleased so far. People actually came early, although we'd set a time, which is great. Part of the reason why we do it is because it's just about people helping people, and situations can change at any time. I'd like to think there will be people helping me if something happens and I'm not able to do what I used to do.
So, how much need do you think there is for a centre like this in Walsall?
I think there's a great need in Walsall. I think with all the cuts that the government's making, particularly nationally and locally, there's a lot of people now that's unemployed, lots of jobs, there's redundancies, people on low income, their benefits have been taken away. A lot of people are struggling, and I think for us, we want to help those people who need that, who need the help.
Are you actually receiving any help from the council, or are you just doing this purely by yourself?
No, I think because the community project is called Seeds 5000, and it's literally just a case of people coming together and offering whatever they have to make this project possible. So at the moment, people are offering their time. Some are offering clothes or food donations to help this actually get up and running, and also the Bethel Lighthouse, they have offered us this venue to use so people can be warm out of the cold. But in terms of funding, as Maureen said, things are very tight and difficult right now, so we're very much using it as an independent, pulled together community project.
That's great. And just one final one, what sort of variety are you offering on the menu?
Ooh, well, we've got a lovely...
Or will that be telling?
Yeah, well, we've got a lovely Caribbean vegetable soup. It's not too spicy, but it's homemade, so, you know, it's on the menu for them. There's chips and beans, and there's...
sandwiches and snacks. And the thing is as well that depending on how it goes over the weeks, we will look at what is needed, so we won't dictate necessarily all the way through. As tonight's our first night, Caribbean soup has been the starter.
And just one last one. So if people want to come to the centre and are struggling, just where can they find you?
It's the Bethel Lighthouse restaurant, and we're here every Friday night, starting Friday the 13th of November through to Friday the 18th of December, and we're here from 7:30 to 9:30, and it's just, they're welcome to just drop in and get a friendly face, greeting them with a hot chocolate or a cup of tea or whatever it might be.
This is Tom Wilkinson for the Midland in Walsall.
Caribbean spicy soup, homemade bits and pieces, chips. It sounds quite good, doesn't it? That sounds.
It's really nice that such groups are doing it, and I've got friends that work at St Basil's that work in Birmingham and Coventry with the homeless, but it really shouldn't be like this. You can only judge a society about how you treat the poorest in it. This shouldn't be going on in this day and age. We shouldn't be having soup kitchens. We should not be having places where you can pick up groceries for pence. It shouldn't be like this. And the fact that the government really don't care about these charities that are working so hard, it just feels wrong.
I think one of the real telling things that came through in that clip there is that this is all being done, as you say, it's being done by volunteers. Everyone, you know, this is the hidden cost to society, isn't it, of people giving up their own time. You know, if they charged the government for all of the voluntary services they're doing, whether it's soup kitchens, whether it's any of the other charitable deliveries, the government would go bankrupt, wouldn't they?
Big society costs money, and you can't look to volunteers all the time. We should be helping these people. A lot of people that are on the streets have mental health issues. A lot of people on the streets are ex-armed forces, and there's an increasing homeless population who have just lost benefits or just fallen off the waiting list. And rather than that's social security nets helping people, they've just been ignored. And it's going to be a tough Christmas, and hopefully we should act soon.
Well, of course, and I mean, another story this week which ties into this and emphasises what you're saying. The homeless charity Shelter have revealed a 5,500 rise in the number of calls received from the West Midlands this year. They now receive 35,000 pleas for help essentially a year. That's nearly 100 a day, which just puts this into context, because of course for every person that makes those calls, there's no doubt another 5, 10, 15, 20 that are suffering in silence probably, aren't they? So it's a serious issue, isn't it? It's makes you remember what this season actually really is all about, and not just piling your rooms high with Christmas presents. What's on your Christmas list this year?
Oh, I don't think I've actually made one. You know, I'd quite like some nice perfume. I would like some Coco Chanel, Mum, if you're listening. No, that would be good.
It's Santa you need to write to, not Mum. It's Dear Santa, North Pole, isn't it? That's how it goes. So.
I'll send him a letter. I'll see what happens.
Or use it. You can use one of these new apps and go into an independent store and just buy them, can't you? Apparently, is it something called Droplet?
Yeah, maybe I should start investing.
I'll leave it there. Now, talking of food, forget the Great British Bake Off, because students at the City of Wolverhampton College have got a baking challenge of their own to produce a 3-course Christmas meal for more than 800 people. Are tensions boiling over in the kitchen? Let's have a look.
For students studying catering and hospitality at Wolverhampton City College, The run-up to Christmas brings with it one of the first big challenges.
The Christmas fair is one of our major events of the year at the college. During November there's a big build-up to it. During December it literally is our busiest period of the year. Nearly 800 plus customers come in throughout the year, enjoy our three-course meal, our Christmas three-course meal. We've got the bakery working overtime to fulfil the Christmas cake orders and the mince pies orders. And it's generally when the students get their first taste of a real kitchen and the production and the deadlines and the time deadlines that they need to be able to produce a meal on time.
The hands-on experience is a great way for students to learn their craft.
The bakers will be concentrating on Christmas cakes, mince pies, and any festive goods that that could be deemed as a Christmas bakery product. The chefs will be concentrating on the traditional turkey dinner, the roast beef alternative, the salmon dish that we're doing, the place de glaire, and obviously the whole remit of a 9-course lunch and dinner menu. During October and November, it's a sort of a nice leading to the December period. They will get the skills as in during October and November they've been working at a certain level, at a certain pace, and then during December that pace increases. The time line increases, the deadlines for production increases, and also because they're repeating certain dishes time and time again, their skills get better, and that brings their timings down, and the presentation improves as well during that period.
The restaurant is open to the public and is a popular choice during this time.
Anybody can come and book. Any customers, they just contact the college, they'll reserve a seat. I have to say that there's people reserving tables as early as May and June for the following December, so it's almost sometimes a 6-month lead-in. We do have availability slots throughout December, and there are occasions where we can still take bookings, but it is very, very busy. I'm more than pleased that it's very, very busy. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody gets a really good experience all round.
Anyone interested in visiting the restaurant should contact the college. Lindsay Smith for the Midland in Wolverhampton.
The one thing this region isn't short of is an eclectic range of quality eating out venues, isn't there? Self-catering
venues. Salivating again.
I'm hungry now.
So what is it? Christmas dinner or a nice motor?
Everything.
Nice classic motor.
Well, you're tempting me tonight.
I haven't got any holidays on the menu tonight, I'm afraid. That would complete it, wouldn't it?
That would be perfect. No, this region is far and away the best for Michelin-starred restaurants, and it's not just like Birmingham Central. They go out into the shires. It's fantastic.
And you can't beat, can you? I mean, you hear a lot of the time that your colleges are teaching the theory but not the practice. So something like this, where students are actually getting an opportunity to see what it really is like, I don't think I'd fancy that, do you?
No, I remember at school being taught how to make a pineapple upside down cake, and I couldn't even get that right. So you
didn't get it the wrong way round.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be too good at that.
What's your signature dish then?
Oh, I mean, I was saying earlier, my cooking's so bad, sometimes a fire alarm cheers me on, but I can make a banging bacon sandwich if I've got a gun to my head, so yeah.
If you're not in the mood for a bacon sandwich though, by the look of it, get along to City Wolverhampton College and they've got a decent three-course meal for you there. What's your perfect meal for Christmas then this year? Are you a turkey and all the trimmings?
This year, going for duck.
Oh, I love duck.
Because it's a load cheaper than turkey. It's got some flavour to it. And it's dead easy to just stick in the oven. Turkey you've got to faff around with. Get out the giblets and stuff it. No, duck this year.
I'm a turkey crown sort of man. Get rid of all it. Let's have all the hard work done for me beforehand. But I read a piece the other day saying that the big seller this year, the big growth in market share, is these 3-bird, 4-bird, 5-bird wrapped up roasts, but you're never quite sure what's in those, are you?
No, once you go beyond duck, chicken and turkey, what are the other ones? Yeah,
a bit of partridge maybe. I have no idea. So yeah. Well, good news from the City of Wolverhampton College. Now then, here's a question. Probably one more for Dan than for you, Laura, because I know we were talking earlier. You're not too much of a football fan.
Not massively.
Should we be allowing our young people to head a football? Now, it's been going on for years, of course, but the practice has now been banned for children under the age of 10 in some parts of America, amid fears that it could be causing them brain damage. So is this common sense or health and safety gone mad? Big Centre's sports producer James Brackpool spoke to a neurosurgery expert at the University of Birmingham.
The United States Soccer Federation has outlined plans to stop children aged 10 and under heading footballs. Dr. Michael Gray, a leading neuroscientist from the University of Birmingham, said it was dangerous for children to head a football. I asked Dr. Gray about the specific dangers.
There are two areas where we think this is an issue. The first is in the long-term neurodegeneration damage that may be occurring with what we call subconcussive blows that occur when the ball hits the head. So the idea there is if we are repeatedly getting the ball in contact with the head over many hours, over many days, weeks, and years, after a long career of doing this, we believe that there may be neurodegeneration. So there's not conclusive evidence for this yet, but evidence is certainly pointing in the direction that we need to be taking a very close look. The other issue that I particularly have is that heading the ball, especially with young children, most of the concussions we see don't occur from heading the ball itself. It's actually the athlete-to-athlete contact. So when you go up for the aerial challenge, what will happen frequently, we know, is that we get head-to-head contact, or we get head-to-elbow, or the player falls down and strikes their head against the ground, and that results in potentially in a more serious concussion. And I think those are actually the bigger risks.
So would you say that children under 10 and around that age should possibly not play football at all?
Absolutely not. No, and I'm really glad you asked that question. I really think that children need to be playing sport. They need to be getting exercise. The obesity epidemic in this country is a far more serious problem than is concussion. So we really have to encourage children to get out and play sport. Now, I think the important thing is that we need to be playing safely, and where there's a mechanism, then a mechanism for injury, then I think we really need to start to take a look and protect children as best we can.
Based on the advice of the US Soccer Medical Committee, the US Soccer Federation also intend to limit the amount of heading in practice for children between the ages of 11 and 13. So at what age does it become safe to head the ball more frequently?
Well, we don't know the answer to this question, and I actually think that it's not an age-dependent issue so much as a physiology-dependent issue. Children grow and develop at different rates, and therefore I think we should be looking looking on an individual basis, and we really need to be doing the research to better understand that question. Now, of course, in the United States, they've made a decision at a particular cutoff. Of course, if we're going to make decisions like that, there has to be an age where we say there's a cutoff. But really, we need to be looking at physiology, and we must be doing the research to be able to answer these questions more clearly.
What would you say to those parents possibly that might say, I was heading the ball a lot when I was younger, I'm fine now?
Well, that will be what we call a case study, and a case study is not necessarily a good way to do science. We need to look at large numbers of children, look at the effects, for example, of heading the ball in many children, and do comparative studies for example, children who head the ball children who are on teams that head the ball versus children who are on teams that are not heading the ball. And this is an area of research that we're particularly interested in beginning to do here in Birmingham.
A lack of concrete evidence means that for now, children heading a football will remain commonplace on parks across the West Midlands. But Dr. Gray and his team will continue their research in an attempt to make youth participation in sport that bit safer. James Brackpool for the Midland at the University of Birmingham.
Where do you stand on this one then, Dan? Is it a case of the nanny state going mad, or is there more to it, do you think?
Not at all. The more I hear about this, the more I'm inclined to agree with them. I know the Baggies fans are quite vocal about the late Jeff Astle, and their family are looking into the fact that he was heading this damp, heavy leather ball in the 70s, and it did him damage. Kids at that age, shouldn't be playing football with headers and volleys. It should be all on the ground. It should be all footwork. But I think our American cousins are right on this. We don't know the dangers yet, but play it on the ground. You want to see tick-tacky, you don't want to see people heading like seals.
Total football, that's what we want. Not the days of the crazy gang Wimbledon where they lumped it up the field and got away with it for a few years.
Yeah, you don't want the long ball, you want it played down on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Remy Gard's doing at Villa now.
Let's see how he gets on with that one. I mean, of course, the issue here is that there's lots of rumours about things that are good for you, things that are bad for you. All you actually really want, don't you, is some kind of proof one way or the other, or an investigation. You don't just want to be told and expect to believe it, do you? I mean, do you worry about too much coffee, too much red wine's bad for you, don't use this product, don't use this other product?
You know what, if you read everything they told us not to have, we'd end up starving. You know, parents end up wrapping their kids in cotton wool. I mean, there's truth in certain things, but I try not to read too much about various things because you never leave the house.
But then if you look at this football issue, common sense tells you actually banging your head against anything for too long isn't going to do you a great deal of good, is it? So.
I mean, it's not even just that. Giving yourself a black eye as a child with a massive football coming towards your head, it's not exactly the best way to be playing out.
And sometimes it's not footballs that the best players head. Look at Zinedine Zidane.
Absolutely, yeah. And look at the penalty he paid for that one. So, what's the phrase we're after? Everything in moderation. That's what we do, isn't it? Now, to something that certainly wasn't in moderation this week that we haven't really touched on are the gales that caught the region by surprise.
Barney.
I thought it needed a more sinister name than that, given it was 75, 80 miles an hour. It sounded like a children's TV character, doesn't it?
As in the purple
Barney.
dinosaur.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Barney Rubble from the Flintstones for people of my era. But, I mean, from the Express and Star, and this carries right the way across the whole region. Trees down, power lines down, and it does cause chaos. One of the more dramatic pictures, of course, was the giant sign at the Fort Retail Park in Birmingham, which just
completely
went
toppled
straight down and miraculously did hardly any damage.
It looked like King Kong had gone up it. And there was a white car just parked, and it hadn't been hit. It'd gone straight down like an arrow.
Quite scary though, isn't it, when the weather, Mother Nature bares her teeth. I lost the roof of my shed, I'm afraid, when I got back home on Tuesday night. Did you escape unscathed at your place all right?
Yeah, everything was fine. It's just the trains were completely down the next day, so it was a case of going into hibernation.
Well, Leaves on the Line can put the trains out.
Anything
actually, one story in the Coventry Telegraph this week, I don't know if you saw this one, train services being disrupted between Coventry and Birmingham twice because someone wrapped a bike chain around the overhead cables. On all sorts of levels, that's absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Something like that, there should be severe custodial penalties linked to it because this is our infrastructure and we need it. If you had someone messing around on the motorway, you'd give them a sentence.
Completely. Well, Dan, Laura, thank you so much for joining us. Time's got the better of us. A big thank you. But don't forget, Bob Hall and the rest of the news team are with you every weekday, bringing you the latest headlines from across the Birmingham and Black Country region. We'll see you again soon.